Hi my friends, I want to do a quick video about all the things that I've gathered, the thoughts, the recollections, looking through my past life, the spiritual world. I've studied everything. I've looked through every rabbit hole, and every rabbit hole was another hole. I've studied everything from Christianity to Buddhism, Tibetanism, to the agnostics, to even the satanic rituals, right? And I studied every category: physics, mathematics, sacred geometry, sacred symbols. Because I always wanted to know the truth, how did we get here and what's our purpose and all these things, right? It's been a great journey. Just amazing, shocking. Man, I just couldn't believe that the one that's talking today, so much has changed in the last 3 years. I've changed spiritually, I've changed behaviorally, I've changed in so many ways that I almost wouldn't even recognize myself. If the man here today had gone back in time 3 years ago and said, geez, these are things going to happen to you, and these are things you're going to become and who you are, and I wouldn't have believed it. Probably would have ran. That can't be possible. And so the reason I'm doing this video is because we're so close to the truth, but every time you just think you're right there, it just slips right out of your hands again. But I want to do this because I've studied so far, and it's been you, ones listening to this, other brothers and sisters and friends around the world, studying what they had to say and what their beliefs are, like Matt from Quantum Conscience, Vector Recall, and just a ton. Reality Sliders, she's gone now. Just everybody, right? Vanessa May, John Levy. Man, about how history, even geography, has been messed with and resets. And I scanned for all those channels, and even Roger from Mud Fossil University, about a lot of biblical things are real, giants were here and things like that, right? And then, the obscure of the physics, the simulation and all these things. And I'm heading with this. I'm sorry it takes so long, but I just want to make sure that I'm clear of what I've come to. And I may never have the truth, and maybe you won't either. But the closest I can come, I'm about 99% there. Never be 100%. We can never guarantee anything, because we have to take what we have, our eyesight, our visions, our thoughts, the sounds, everything that we see around us. We're fish in a fishbowl, and we cannot see beyond the fishbowl. And again, the song, there's two fish swimming in a fishbowl, right? That we can't see beyond 100% truth. But I know these things too is real, that the Lord's helped me and He's talked to me, and Satan's real, the Demirs is real. All these things are real things, but angels are real. I've met good and bad angels, demons. You met ghosts and spirits and lost souls and things like that, right? I want to thank them all, because it has been a great journey and a great life, and I'll thank Him for that. And our Creator and our ultimate Creator, who provided this for all of us, I'll forever thank, and it's been awesome. But it got kind of rough the last couple of weeks, and I'll explain more about that. It really got bad for Kirk. Just horrible. You wouldn't believe how brutal and bad it was. And so I had to walk away from it all for a while and take a break and get grounded because it was a mess. And I'll talk more about that in another video. But I've lost so much. What I've gained, I'm not sure. Just like you and the rest of us, we just wanted a different world, a place to call home, and to make a change and make it more loving, peaceful, and get rid of the noise, the garbage, the hate, the evil, right? It's all been our goals. And so here's where I'm heading with this, is that, boy, NPCs are real. Human prison bars, boy, it's all right in front of us. It just blows my mind that I never realized, which I can deal with that part. It's we treat them just like normal. We don't treat them, we're not more special than them. They're messengers, they're here, and they helped in many ways. Some were loving, some were terrifying. And when it comes to your own family, when you find out your own family are nothing but just characters in a play, that's a tough one to swallow. Because then you start looking at all through your past, like who was a true soul, divine being, spirit, and who was just a character that was here to teach us, attack us, or love us in many different ways, right? And I do appreciate the fact that your God and Creator and the rest allowed me to be awake to this reality. Because otherwise, if they hadn't, you'd still be in the dark. And dark can be a good place, maybe. Ignorance is bliss. But it's the inquisitive mind, the curiosity that killed the cat, and these things that's got us in trouble and breaks our heart and emotions even more so, right? But even like the people around me, my brothers and close family members, that they can't see beyond this material world, and they have the most inquisitive minds, which is shocking. But it's their own journey, it's their own life, and some they'll never understand that we were crazy or insane or lost our minds. And but the whole thing, I want to come back to this whole simulation thing, because when I found out that it's a simulation, remember, I'm a software engineer, and when I came to the truth that I guess the best way to manage a universe, if you're a creator or somebody trying to make sure that everything's in a level field where you had a balance of the yin and yang, and making sure the earth doesn't implode by a stray meteorite, things like this, that the best way to handle that would be through a computer simulation. And it doesn't mean that all these things aren't real. You got to remember, there's still a creator. There's still all these angels, the biblical stories, Lord, Demiurge, and all these other things, Gaia, whatever, right? All that's real, because you can create that in a computer simulation, right? So, and it's become more artificial. It used to be more realistic, before the Mandela effect, when we had the shift from the always get backwards, Orion, the Sagittarius belt and stuff. The trees are more vivid and green, more believable, your reality. The sun was a nice yellow, had a nice warm feel to it versus burning sensation. But everything's been clocked in time perfectly. Notice how the aliens have been progressing at the same time as, the stories of used to be green men, Martians, now we have gray aliens, all these other ones. That the progression of aliens match exactly the comprehension of mankind and the thoughts in our movies as we moved through time. It's like even the whole world around us, that everything was created at the same moments to be conducted through a material world as the same thing that we believed in the artificial future of these things. For example, I've had some of this, like lasers. Saw lasers, talked about them for many years, and they finally came to be true. We could create lasers, and then aliens you saw progress from, really strange pan looking, like you grabbed it off of a crock pot type of thing, and that's what UFO is, a little saucer, to this amazing UFOs today, right? That progression that matched exactly the way we could produce things through graphics, CGI, and also by just mankind progressing his thoughts about how alien crafts should look like versus expanding just to be on a saucer. So what I'm getting at is that reality is matching the art, even through time. If that makes sense. That, like all these things that we see and believed in and projected and prophesized and futurized are matching exactly the capabilities, not only by mankind's comprehension, because they wouldn't have thought of this thing in the 1800s of the way these crafts would have been, but also by the way that we can generate that reality through materialistic, artificial means, and make people believe them, right? Through drone technology or whatever. You could have a fleet of drones and make it look like UFO or whatever. So the reason I bring this up is it's hard to tell between the artificial creation that man is doing, or that we believe that the deep state's doing, versus what is actually being incurred by the spiritual world, right? Whether that be fallen angels with UFOs or not, right? Become so blurred. I mean, people say, "Hey, that CGI is pretty fake." You can see that UFO or this, that. And sometimes it's very realistic, right? The CGI capabilities are nasty these days. You can't tell the difference, right? And that's on purpose, because you have to segment the difference between what is real and what is fake in everything we look at. And so I'm heading some of this, that it's hard to discern what is real and not, because we've got this blending, right? And there's one physicist, his name is Hoffman, that he's a pretty smart guy. That he thinks that even iPad 2, there's words on the chalkboard that says, smells like evolution if you push it out there. That he says that you, me, and other ones that are awake and can see the Mandela effect and see that this world is artificial and fake, it's a simulation, that was intended by the gods or our God, a creator, to see who can raise the future generations of a new earth or a reset. That it's time for mankind to progress moving forward. That it's a progression, that it's a spiritual evolution, and also a mankind, a mankind and ladykind evolution, the flesh and the spiritual combining. And some even said that it's another dimension that we'll be moving into, another higher dimension, and that's time for the humankind to progress to a more spiritual kind and move forward. Now, whether that's true, I don't know. But iPad 2 is another trap in many ways, so be careful. That, but it shows even man going from a monkey, which we know the whole theory of evolution is a farce. But to some extent, there is some modifications, but overall it's a farce, right? And it shows man become enlightened, and stuff. So the thing is, we look at the iPad 2, it has some dark things, and it also has some lightning things. It's like the yin and yang when you watch it. There's some positives and there's some negatives, right? And it's because it's pretty evil overall. But it's amazing how, so you take those pieces of this, that we're living in this simulated world, right? It's becoming more artificial. Because even artificiality that was shown through many ways, we have artificial sweeteners and food, and the people become artificial. And we got artificial things, we got generated realities, wearing headsets with VR, virtual reality, and everything's become so artificial, right? So that's, again, you see the progression of this artificial world, even with our own sun that we're looking at. We're seeing this push towards artificiality, that the whole world's fake, which I can accept. But then the problem is, you look back in history, the whole history is history. It's all been fake. History's been covered up, written over, blinded from us, taken away from us. So we don't know the truth, right? But see, what I discovered was that there's no like common timeline thread where you can say from point A to B that, I'm trying to give you an example that, for example, like Atlantis turns this time frame all the way up to today of, we've got these Capitol buildings and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say is that you have all these stories, that the world is a stage, a simulated stage, where, the Christian story is true, right? The Lord existed at that time and did his mission and his part. Which is hard to swallow, but remember, we wouldn't be here talking about this if those events hadn't occurred. But also it opens up the reality that we had giants at one time, and there's even stories that Medusa was probably real. And who knows? Maybe there was the Greek gods. All these myth and mythologies were probably real. Some probably fake. I mean, I'm thinking now that dragons were probably real, because we've seen evidence of those existing through cultures, from complete separate cultures around the world, right? So you have all these things, these histories, and then and Matt says it's just one big Mandela effect. Well, it's just one big set of different stories. Even the Bible, some of the stories don't, they're broken and fragmented, and you can't make a timeline out of it. 1 minute you got the Garden of Eden, next minute they're going to the land of Cain, and there's people there. It's like, well, wait a minute, I thought Adam and Eve were the first, and now there's other people? I mean, that was the first one. Like, what's going to happen here? And I don't want to go into that kind of stuff. I just want to say that, there's a lot of stories that it's like a lot of different books of lives. You're living your book of life, and we're at the same time here, and being exposed to the same worldly affairs with the things going on. And I've got to be careful because I don't want to get banned again. With the Russian situation and China and balloons flying over, and those are the realities that you and I are facing. That's what the external world is pushing on us. And so my point is that those are stories and those are books of life, that we are creating our books of life, you and I, right now, by the way we're engaging this. We're creating our reality. Okay. So I hope I'm making sense of this, because you probably think, well, I'm all over the place. Because everybody's looking for a common thread, a common timeline, and it just probably just doesn't exist. That we have probably multiple. See, in the software coding world, we have what's called a main branch or main code line. And you can split off from that code line to have different branches where you can add things or move things or modify things, or let it run to see which is the best code line to developing that software program. And then you'll merge it back at some point. They call it a merge. And that's kind of what you see in the Mandela effect. You see the same thing that a software developer or an engineer would see, that you start merging these codes back to the main code line. This would be like the branch of the tree of life, or branch of spirituality, or branch to your creator and God. Called the branch. They even call it the branch or the root. So they call it the main branch, the trunk. Sorry, the trunk. The trunk would be the source code. I just said the source code even. So you're branching everything back in, and sometimes that's why we saw maybe some different changes in history, and also your creator or these gods decided to let those us see it state. So it's like we are writing the trunk of the code, and look around, and we can see the changes flipping, coming in from all these merges from other realities, merging the code. And what's really kind of interesting about that is that there's a thing called cherry picking, even in software field, where you can take one change and put it into the code line, which is a trunk, the main timeline that you and I have been living from day to day, and you cherry pick it from another one and put it in there, and because you said I want that change, or you ignore those because you don't want the whole change that occurred on another timeline. Because, for example, let's say you had a timeline, not saying this happened, but let's say you had a timeline where Hitler won World War II. Say, well, we don't want that whole timeline because it messed up the future, and so we're going to cherry pick some things out of there, like, well, we have Schindler, we're going to take him, he was a good guy, and move him in here, and he did some great things, and we're going to leave other pieces there, and or we're going to leave, they won this battle, or they went into Normandy with the France or whatever, right? So you cherry pick events or people or times in there. It's called cherry picking. And so everything I see actually does represent a software type code, okay? And so and some people say that God is source. Well, that'd be like source code or source of all or source of this. But there's got to be somebody outside this universe, this fishbowl, that had to create the computer and put in the software or the code. And the software code is us living the script, right? You're a character, and I have a character, and even Jim Carrey's figured this out. He said, I'm not really Jim Character, I'm playing a role, and things like that, right? So you are this character and role, and which is honorable, right? But it also comes with some pain, right? And it can be painful. And so here we are in this realm. It's like Tron, the movie Tron, where we're inside this matrix, even, or the movie Matrix, right? And there's many themes or theories about that. But anyway, I'm a little tired, so I'm trying to stay focused on this. So so that becomes, we're all in the same fishbowl. Like even they said the fallen angels, well, guess what? They're with us. And we're all in the same universe. And so the best thing we would all to win, because even Demirj and all of us would know that if we're all trapped in the same prison cell, prison earth, or prison universe, is to work together and get along, because in the end, it has to be a win-win situation. That win-lose is always going to be a lose-win. It's always going to flip upside down and around, right? So working together to make it a win-win out of the situation, right? And this whole battle is, I think that some people nail. So what is the ultimate fight that we're fighting over here? It's what is the true battle, And the true battle is, is it over, what's the crux of it all? And it kind of comes down to energy, a special energy, a divine energy, even on top of that the whole universe is battling, even from the microbes in our bodies, and the viruses and the bacterias are fighting for life and energy, right? You see that from the small scale into the large scale, that even from humankind, there are people fighting for power and energy. But there must be some kind of spark or divine power that's more unique. That's why you and I hear that, because they're seeking that. The evil ones are seeking that divine, that little special spark or energy, right? And and that's why in the Matrix they call it the battery. See, the other people, I'm not trying to insult them. The average NPC, or what do you call them? I guess the normie. that they still give energy to this universe. And that's why they're programmed and trying to follow the rules, the rules that the controllers create. But it's not the energy that is more divine, that they're really seeking to trap you, me, and others to tap into that energy. It's kind of like the Dune. You remember the movie Dune, where the spice. So it's kind of like you're the spice, that extra spiritual spice that they want. And they want to suck it from you no matter what. Distractions, whatever they can do, create hate, create division amongst us, or even create division amongst yourself, make you second guess yourself, or have hate in your heart. They feed off of it, right? That's why I've been trying to tell you to stay neutral or stay positive, because they want to suck that energy right from you. And it's kind of like a frequency, energy, frequency, and vibration. That anger is a very lower vibration. So continue to operate a higher frequency vibration, which also means you're going to stand out like a light bulb, and they can sense it. But that's okay. But I don't want to get too much on detail on that at this time. So you remember, because the whole universe, even Nikola Tesla said, the whole world's about energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's what you are, is the same. You have energy, your frequency, operate at a higher frequency, and vibrate at a higher frequency as well. Because that's what we really are. We're like a light spiritual being that needs to operate in those three modes, right? And you take energy, frequency, vibration, and you slow it down, which is actually light being slowed down. It turns into matter. And that's why you're caught in the flesh, and you're here in your spirit. That's why you call cells your body, because you become prison cells. It's trapped your spiritual divine being inside this fleshly avatar body, right? So, and I'll talk more about this, because like I said, I'm really tired, and I apologize, because I've been doing a lot of work trying to survive the game. And so that's the thing is, so how do we escape the matrix? Well, like I said, I know, see, there's a who, what, when, and where, and why to many things, right? We know what's happening. We kind of know where we're at, but we really don't know. And where are we? Are we actually in somebody's computer box somewhere, or, in some kind of black box, and we're just in a simulation, and there's somebody sitting outside there, some gods or God, a creator, sitting outside it, and that's the who. And where we're at, we don't know. You know where we're at. Is there multiple universes? We don't know where we're at. Where are you at? Well, all we can say is I'm right here, and I know where I'm at physically right here, but we don't even know if our thoughts aren't being transmitted to our bodies from somewhere else, right? Like a matrix, we don't know, right? So who, what, where, when, and why. But why? See, that's the thing that's always, and I do not have the answer yet, by the way, the why. Because I thought we were here for a special mission and to save this world, but we cannot save it without them. The good side, a God creator, and the rest. We really can't, right? So, but we will do our part if they call upon us, because I know you would. But why, right? Why is there so much drama? Why is there so much to this whole thing, right? It's just so, can we done it through other means? Like the ends justify the means? Boy, the means of getting to this end has been horrible for some of us. Horrible. There was even one guy that knows that we're in a simulation, I saw recently, that he was talking about that, well, it's supposed to be for education purposes. He said, boy, any teacher that put me through this in my schooling, he said, I wanted a more kinder, more gentler teacher than this. He said, this has been too rough for me. And I don't know his background, but he sounds like he's been through the ringer. And some people say, oh my God, this our God creator's got some explaining to do, because I've been so beat up and abused. I don't have those answers. And I may never will. None of us never will. We may never ever know those answers. But see, there's part of that too, that we don't want all the answers, because if you had all the answers, it might be kind of boring. Think about if you knew everything about all of everything. Be pretty boring. Nothing more to learn, nothing more to gain, nothing more experience. So there's a journey part to this. That's why I'm backed away and don't tell people about, this is what I exposed a little bit about my thoughts, and I hope it impact you. I want you to find out your own truth, your own journey, and join your own spiritual and also your life. Have, happy life, because I'm not right, and who knows who is right. And sometimes wrong is right and right is wrong. So, we can't really say. We kind of have to go by our gut instinct and hope we're doing the right things. And, and that's what makes it hard. Because the unknown is so more vast than the known. See, it's like the sand right now. We probably don't have a grain of sand out there. Because it's like even the concept of something coming from nothing is too hard for us human brains to comprehend. Think about that just for a moment, that something, you are existing right now, just poof, out of nowhere. That is so, because otherwise everything was always here, which is the truth. So, so think about that for a moment, that something always existed. And that your God and your creators and your sub-gods or whoever, the controllers, decided, hey, let's make it a little bit more entertaining to take something and make it into nothing. Create space and time. Because everything existing at once is crazy, right? So we actually took something and made it into nothing, which is we can't comprehend, because we always think of nothing becoming something, right? So it's actually taking something and turning it into nothing, and separation and all these other things, right? Space and whatever. Now I can accept everything. The hard thing that was hard for me to swallow, and I'm going to wrap this up, sorry, 32 minutes, I apologize. I could accept the factor in assimilation. I even told the Lord, when I asked him, he said yes. And I said, that's okay. I can swallow that one, yeah. But the one that really, really got me was when I realized that everything was scripted. Now that one was the wazoo, right? Because yes, you have some free will. You can move around and you can do certain things on this planet. But your role and your character, that's still your decision, whether you want to partake in this or not, I assume. But and they'll meet you halfway. You're creating a reality together, by the way. So, and there is a thing about retrocausality, right? That they knew you'd come along and try to, my past is being impacted right now by what I'm doing today. And because we prove that in physics, experiments. How much, it's kind of probably limited, but you can modify. But also the thing is that, that's why you be a good soul. People say, well, it's too late. No, it's never too late. Be a good soul, good spirit, right? You can change your past. Well, you can fix all your mistakes? No, because that's part of the learning process, and we have to deal with. And you wouldn't be here to this moment right now if some of those things didn't occur. But the behavior, the emotions, and slight modifications in results can be changed, right? But okay, so back to that thing. So you're living this script. It's even like the Bible said scripture, right? Which is okay, but it's like, really? What? That's the heart that out of anything that I've been able to swallow, that was the biggest surprise that really got me. Because now I'm thinking, are we supposed to break those scripts that we've been programmed into? And also this predictive programming that the Simpsons and prophecy, even the Christian prophecy, all these things that are unfolding, are we supposed to break those scripts? Because following those scripts doesn't seem like a good idea, right? that does not sound like a good idea. No way you win, because, as I said, it does not matter whether it's a spiritual war or war by here on flesh. It's still a war. And there's going to be a loser in a spiritual war. And whether that's good or bad, I cannot judge it. But I don't want to take in a spiritual war that costs somebody their soul, their spirit, or, or beating the crap out of somebody that could change, or even the evil one, I mean, seriously, because even the Lord said, hate thy enemy. Do not hate thy enemy. So I guess that includes Satan and demirs, right? But then also there's a part where we got to stand up and defend yourself, because I told you this rule's about somebody sucking your energy and this and that. So you have to defend yourself. But what type of defense is that? Can you peacefully defend yourself, or do you engage in spiritual warfare? And the more you engage it, the more you're going to get sucked into it, right? Because I've seen it. Boy, the more I fought the spiritual wars, the more I got sucked in, and the harder it came to battle these things, right? So we just keep on doing what we're doing. But see, here's the thing is, and you said, well, I thought you taught us how to escape the matrix. I'm actually experimenting right now, as we speak. I'm testing a theory, just an idea, that there may be a way that we can all escape this matrix and this reality, and actually have what we dreamed of peace and just living a normal, normal life, a normal without all the weird chaos and stuff like this. I don't know if that's a fact, but I'm seeing that some changes are already. And I'm hoping this is true. Because don't forget that you are like a co-creator, that you have an inquisitive mind. You probably engage in some type of artwork, even if it's by language or whatever. You also have passion or empathy for others. But the artistic capability, you have a creative mind or a soul. And there's like some keys to your being that make you unique, like a diamond in the rough here. And so I'm thinking that you got to use those. And I'll explain it more later, because I don't want to jinx this sucker. But I think I know how we become creators for our Creator, or for this reality that lets us move in the right direction for once. Because everybody says, what if we all just sat down and prayed? Well, maybe, but some said that it's useless. They said, because we're outnumbered. 99% of these people, even if we sat down and prayed, would not be enough to change their mindsets and get them broken out of the system. The beast system, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, the thumb under the demirs or whatever, right? So, that's possibly could be true. But, so, and how, if you're going to change the script, how do we say we don't want a fake alien invasion, we don't want World War III, we don't want these things? Because even bringing those up, it gives them energy behind that thought. It's a spell, a casting. Remember dictionary spelling? So it's a spell. So I think that we have to, there's a way, I'm going to throw it out there. There's ways to do this. It's called, if you're playing any game, and I'm not saying this is a serious game. I didn't tell my mother about this. Even football, or even checkers, or the game of life, you have pieces to the game board. Even like the Monopoly, it's Mandela effect. You have pieces. So you can use those pieces to do certain things, right? A football lets you kick a football in a football field, right? And you have players, which are you, me, and others, and the demirs, and Satan, and Lord, and all these other characters. Some are star players, and some are just people, crowds, watching the game. Some are just doing whatever they're told. You can see how it's playing out, right? This game. And so you have your people, you have your pieces. Some people use magic, or we say, they're casting spells on us. We got some witches in the background doing these things, this and that. You got the Illuminati holding their secret meetings, and the Freemasons are blowing it up, and CERN's doing these things. Well, CERN would be a piece, a tool to the game. And so we got the people pay the pieces that I'm trying to tell, or even the supercomputers, whatever they want to claim, that's changing reality or this and that. And then you have what's called the rules. What are the rules to this game? Well, that's the thing is we think that the rules are be a good person and and be strong and have no fear and don't let them brainwash you. Don't let the TV blow your mind up and don't let them control you or change you. So those are the rules. But see, we also have rules of physics where we can't just fly. We can't just throw, magical casts around the world and change it at this time, is what I'm going to say. And so it leaves us those options that, unless you think of others, that to change this game to our advantage is we have to either change the characters on the field. I'm using the football example, the field called Earth, the stage, or we have to, or ask the other side to help us change this game, right? The controllers, the good side, or we have to change the pieces, the tools we use. Well, we're using a cell phone right now. I am, and using YouTube as our tool, one of the tools, communication. But it's got to be deeper in tools. It's got to be more of a peaceful resolution tool. I'm not talking, bombs or, loudmouths and hate, and we're going to stand up for once, and I mean real tools. The tools involves, don't sound crazy, does involve stones. Stones talking Bible, or is it stones, or what are the tools we have? What's available? Our mind is our best tool, right? Your mind is the best dang tool you got. So don't let it go to waste. So our minds, do we shut this off? Do we do some kind of creative things with our minds? Is that the tool? Is there, what I mean? So, and then we have the rules, change the rules. So we change the rules of the game to where something negative becomes a positive, or we redefine those rules that's been laid to us in front of us on this earth, right? And I'm going to tell you more of what I'm doing, but I don't want to jinx it. So I have gone the tool route and also the rule route, called the tool and the rule, right? The characters, I don't know. I know that we have some angels and other ones helping us, and I see it every day. Every day I walk out that door and they show me something spiritually. It's hard to explain. Every second of the day, somebody is on our side. I can tell you that. They're helping. So, because I know the other side can't see what I'm seeing. I know they can't. I've never heard them talk about it, haven't heard debate, and I will not disclose that because it's a little secret I have. And it's not that the secret they gave me the gift, and I have to protect that gift because it helps me know who's on which side and who's not, right? So I thank him for that gift. It is an amazing gift that they gave me. I can look at you in 10 seconds and tell which side you're on, tell you what your profession is, tell you about you, that whether you're a teacher, coach, or librarian, or whatever, without even knowing you. I can tell you more about yourself that other people may not know, okay? So I thank him for that, because I was getting the crap beat on. They said, we have to change this game. Yes, they did. They changed the rules. What I said, they changed the rule to help Kirk. And they may be helping you in certain ways. Maybe there's things that I don't know. So anyway, so I'm going to wrap this up. So we're going to test this theory out and see what happens. Hope the best. Oh, by the way, watch that stock market. It's a nasty. Why'd you bring that up? Well, because that's part of the rules to the game, that's money. They're going to bend them over. So be very careful in here, because this market's unraveling and I see lower, and it's all in the charts. I wish I had time to show you more about stock market even, because you're just cattle, stock to the market, the meat market. And that's what I call bonds. You got to bond yourself out of the system, right? So we're going to break the matrix. So you can take some of those ideas that I had and think about it and come up with some ideas maybe. Say, well, what, Kirk, what if we change this rule or that rule, or we change the players or the pieces, the tools, right, on the game, instead of, stuff like that. Okay? All right. Love you all. Take care. And best blessings to all of you.